Well, here it is. This is the first press car to make it to my brand new YouTube channel, and this is the 2025 Buick Envista ST, and that stands for Sport Touring. This car starts at about $24,000 in the US and $32,000 here in Canada. Now, this one as spec'd is $34,900 or so with some options, and that includes destination, and that's honestly a really good price for what you get here. So this is Buick's cheapest car. The Encore is slightly more expensive and it does give you more cargo room, but this vehicle actually has a longer wheelbase than the Encore. So you do get more passenger legroom in both the front and the back seats. Just before we get into this video, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supported my first YouTube video. I posted it a couple of weeks ago. It's a long-term review on my Mazda 3 Turbo if you want to check it out. Honestly, I was not expecting anything when I posted that video. I thought maybe I'd get a couple hundred views or here or there, but we got over 100,000 views in like the first week or first 10 days or so, and I was just blown away. So thank you so much for the support on that video. Really means a lot. And yeah, we are going to get into this Buick Envista ST that Buick Canada was super generous to loan me. The Buick Envista was first launched for the Chinese market, actually. This vehicle is built in South Korea alongside the Chevy Trax, and then they brought this over to the US and Canada in 2023. Interestingly enough, in the Chinese market, you get a 4-cylinder engine, whereas here in North America or Canada and the US, you only get a 3-cylinder, and it is a 1.2 liter, and it makes about 137 horsepower and about 162 pound-feet of torque. So when you hear those numbers, you think, oh man, this thing's gonna be slow. And it's not actually that bad. So we're getting to the end of the week here, and now I've kind of gathered all my thoughts on how this vehicle drives. I picked this vehicle up on Tuesday from Toronto and brought it home to London. It's about a 2-hour trip there and then another 2-hour trip back. So I've had quite a bit of experience with the highway and city driving with this now. And one other thing I noticed on the highway was actually really quiet in here. This has Buick's quiet tuning, which is just another fancy word for active noise cancellation. It's pretty quiet. It's a very windy day today, so you're hearing a little bit of wind noise. And this is running winter tires, so that's adding a little bit of noise, but it's pretty good in here. Today's the loudest I've heard it. It's just very windy. We've had a big thunderstorm this morning. In terms of rear visibility, the rear window is kind of small, but it's not too bad. And you do have your blind spot monitoring, so that helps a lot. There is no rear wiper on the rear window either. You get that on the Encore, but you don't get it here. Because the theory is the rain just kind of rinses off, so you don't get a wiper back there. Like my Mazda 3, this does have a bit of a blind spot because of the design of the rear. But again, the blind spot monitoring works pretty good, so just make sure you're double checking every time you switch lanes. I mean, you're supposed to anyways. Now in terms of the suspension, we've got McPherson struts up front and a rear torsion beam for the back. So Sometimes that can feel stiff, but it's honestly been handling these bumpy roads out here in the country pretty well. This particular ST has the Wattslink rear suspension, so that is an upgrade, but it has more to do with the lateral motion of the vehicle and to help it with handling. It doesn't really help with ride quality per se. You do feel body roll when you take it around corners for sure, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's not what you're buying this vehicle for. You are buying this vehicle to commute to work or to just go to the grocery store. This does have lane keep, but it just kind of more bounces you back into the lane. It's not actively steering for you. One funny thing I noticed on the driver's display is that it tells you how many seconds the car in front of you is. So it will say it's 1.5 seconds in front of you, like we're in some sort of Formula One car. It only goes up to 2.5 seconds. That's as far as it can estimate, but it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of a cool feature. I don't know how useful it is, but I'm here for it. Now, when it comes to the fuel economy, it's not spectacular. This vehicle is averaging about 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers since its birth. And then since I got it, it's been averaging about 9.3 liters per 100 kilometers. So it's not spectacular. My Mazda 3 gets that exact fuel mileage with a 2.5 liter turbo engine. So it's not spectacular fuel economy. So I filled this car up yesterday from empty. This has a 50 liter tank and it costs about $72 with regular fuel. Now, 50 liters is about average for this segment. Almost all the cars have 50 liter tank sizes, except the CX-30. It has a bit of a smaller tank. And then the Subaru Crosstrek has like a 64 liter tank, I believe. So it's a little bit bigger. Those are the two outliers. The rest of them all pretty much have the same tank size. All right, back to our favorite spot here, just to take a look at the design. All of the Buicks at the moment have this front end, and it's all based off the Wildcat concept they put out a couple years ago, and it looks really good. It's nice that they have kind of a cohesive design language at the moment. A lot of people think this looks like a baby Lamborghini Urus, and honestly, it kind of does. So up here, you got daytime running lights, and then down here is where your actual headlights are. We've got this nice ST badge on the front here, and this is kind of one of the few spots where there's chrome still, is right here. If you get the Avenir or say the base trim, you're gonna get a lot of chrome on the vehicle. And with the ST, you get everything kind of blacked out. Now standard, you get 18-inch wheels with the ST, but this one has the upgraded 19-inch aluminum wheels. Got that ST badge on the side there. Really, really nice looking design on the side. Now it's nice that this part is all blacked out, because if you get any other trim, that's a big chrome piece. And I honestly just think that this looks better blacked out. You'll also notice that it has gloss black trim instead of kind of that rugged plastic that a lot of other cars have. Looks nice, probably take a beating, but at least it looks good new. So the rear end is kind of hit or miss for some people, primarily because you lose a lot of the cargo space because of the sloped roof. And also these turn signals are pretty low. That's kind of a weird design choice. I know Kia used to do this with the Sportage. I kind of prefer it when the turn signals are up here in the taillights because that's where most people are looking. Now something great for this class of car is it does have a power tailgate. Here's a look at the trunk space. Now I picked up my parents from the airport this week, and this is kind of gives you a better idea of how much you can fit in the trunk. That's all their luggage in the back there. There is a spare tire underneath as well, which is handy. And then as you can kind of see, it is a 60-40 split. If you're subscribed here on YouTube, or if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen that I put out a poll asking yes or no if you like the design of this Vista. And out of 301 votes, 80% of you said yes. That's a pretty good rating. Now here's a good sign. This car just got pooped on. So that means this video is gonna get 100,000 views as well, right? All right, let's talk about this interior space in the Buick Envista. So first thing you're gonna notice right off the bat is this big panel, and this has an 11-inch screen in here and an 8-inch screen over here for the driver's display. There's not a whole lot to do on this screen. You do have all your kind of maintenance and gauges over here in this screen as opposed to your driver's display. So you can see your fuel economy over here, and then you do have your battery voltage, coolant temperature, and then sort of maintenance stuff, engine air filter life, tire pressure, oil life. And yes, this does have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and it works pretty good. And then in terms of the satellite radio, this is kind of how it looks like. If you're gonna get satellite radio, for me, I just kind of use wireless Apple CarPlay and Spotify. So I'm never really using this that much, but if you wanted to see it, that's what it looks like. The next big thing you'll notice is this flat bottom steering wheel. That looks really cool, really sporty. This does have a heated steering wheel and it gets warm all the way around, which is awesome. So I have a Mazda 3 and it only gets hot kind of right in here. And I'm assuming the same for the CX-30 because it's basically the same platform, that you'd probably only be getting the heated steering wheel here. Buttons are pretty simple. It does have adaptive cruise control, and then you do have your volume buttons kind of behind the steering wheel here, and then Seek Track on the left side over here. Now you'll see that it does say climate up here in the screen, but you can control all the climate stuff with the physical buttons down here, which is great. I always am kind of angry when climate controls are only in the screen. So thank you, Buick, for just keeping the physical controls down here. It is much nicer that way. And you'll also see that you do have heated seats on both sides here. Also important to note, this is just a single zone climate, not dual zone. And now this is an option, but this does have the sport pedal kit and the pedals look pretty cool. In terms of the shifter, it is kind of funny. You feel like you're in drive, but you only get to neutral. So you gotta just make sure that you take that extra step back. It is very long. It feels like you have to pull it back a lot. Wipers are pretty quiet. Not too bad. Now, because this is the ST, you do have this blue stitching, and you've got these ST seats that say ST right on the headrest. Pretty cool. I keep thinking I'm in like a Focus ST or like a Fiesta ST. Door panels are fine. It's just regular hard plastic, but they did try to kind of spruce it up with different materials here and there. But overall, pretty happy with this interior. The seats are firm, but I haven't actually had any issues with them. They're pretty comfortable. This does have a powered driver's seat, and it does have lumbar support. And the passenger side is manual. Nice that they did put some effort into the design over here. I've got the blue stitching that runs around to the doors. And then this is kind of how much room you've got in the center storage. Now this isn't really a big deal, but the padding for your elbow is not really existent. If you're wondering about automatic windows, it does go down automatically on all four, but then you just have to hold the button to put them back up. In terms of the sound system, it's fine. There's nothing like amazing about it, but it's not terrible either. And yes, this does have a wireless charger down here, and it has two USB ports, USB-C and a regular USB. And because this car has the upgraded package, which gives you kind of the bigger wheels and the Wattslink rear suspension, this does have a sunroof because of that. One thing I totally forgot to mention was the rear camera. It is pretty clear. However, the depth is a little weird. It was hard to capture on camera, but it felt like everything was a lot closer than it actually was. Actually, a decent amount of legroom. Pretty surprised by that, to be honest. You have some storage on the passenger side here, not on the driver's side. You do have two USBs, and then you've got kind of another pocket for storage, but there are no vents, and that's kind of typical in this class. But what's not really typical is there are no cup holders back here. So if you have a drink, you just got to put it in the door card. In terms of the overall height back here, I'm 5'10". I'm not really touching, I guess. Kind of. I feel like my hair is touching it a bit. So that's all because of this sloped design. It's not too bad though. And it feels like you've got enough space back here. And with that sunroof, it is pretty nice and airy in here. Seat comfort, it's fine. So I do want to add one segment to all of these videos, and it's going to be kind of a segment where I build the car the way I would want to build it. But you know what? I think I would build it this way, in this ST format. I don't really love all the chrome bits on the Avenir. There is one extra color you can get. It's kind of like a copper color with the Avenir. This color is called Ocean Blue Metallic, but I think I would stick to this ST. And I actually really like this Ocean Blue Metallic color, but I think I would get it in black. This car looks pretty sweet in black. I actually did a double take when I saw one the other day. I was like, what is that? So you've got the Subaru Crosstrek, you've got the Hyundai Kona, you've got the Volkswagen Taos, you've got the Kia Seltos, you've got the Mazda CX-30, you've got the Honda HR-V, Toyota Corolla Cross, and then you got this, and the Chevy Trax, because they're kind of the same car, but this has a few more luxury bits to make it a bit of a nicer ride. But out of all those cars, which one would I go for? It's going to be typical, oh, he's a Mazda fanboy. But I do really like the way the CX-30 looks. I love the interior space in that car because it's the exact same interior space as my Mazda 3. So I'm a little partial to that car, but you know what? I've never driven it, so I can't really say for sure if it's better than this. I'm just kind of going off my Mazda 3 experience, and based on the fact that they're the same platform, I would probably go with that option. But it is a hindrance to have a smaller fuel tank size. You'll be at the gas station more. And the CX-30, once you start loading it up with options, it does get fairly expensive, whereas this kind of stays in a good price range throughout all the trims. All right, you're looking at the competition, and you may be considering the Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, I have driven two versions of this car, the all-wheel drive and the hybrid version, and I really like it. However, the interior space is up there as probably one of the boringest interior spaces in this class, so that might be an issue for you. Now, there's the Honda HR-V. I have driven the HR-V and I found it to be just too slow, and I couldn't really get over that. Then next up is the Kia Seltos and the Hyundai Kona. They're kind of similar vehicles on the same platform, and they have really good technology in them, but their designs can be a little bit polarizing in that you either love it or you hate it. Now, if you live a very outdoor lifestyle and you go camping and off-road a little bit, the Subaru Crosstrek is a really good option for you. I have not driven the new Taos from Volkswagen, and I have not driven the Nissan Kicks, so I can't really comment on them. Now, because both the Chevy Trax and the Buick Envista are only available in front-wheel drive, it does keep the cost down. And if you live in a southern climate, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to buy one of these vehicles because you're not really worried about all-wheel drive and the snow. But if you are here in Canada or a northern state in the US, you will probably want to get a good set of winter tires for this vehicle. But I would say this stands out as one of the better design vehicles. It looks really good. It has like a big car stance. It looks a lot bigger than it is. And I think they did a really good job with designing this vehicle. Now, this Envista is Buick's best-selling vehicle at the moment. And I kind of see why. I see them everywhere. Buick did a really good job at making this look premium on the outside. When you come inside, you're like, okay, there's plastic everywhere. But from the outside, it looks really good. So it's a great little car. I've enjoyed my week with it. I'll be taking it back in 2 days and picking something else up from General Motors. Stay tuned. You'll see it next Saturday. I'm going to try and keep a regular routine of uploading on Saturday mornings here. And yeah, thanks for watching my second video here on YouTube. Really appreciate it, and we will see you soon.